This is the first of 4 meetings this season between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The Bombers have won 3 straight against Saskatchewan, 6 of the last 7 and 8 of the last 10. They met in the preseason this year in Saskatoon, and Saskatchewan won 41-6. And all games in recent years have been close here at Taylor Field, and this one is underway. Albert Brown with Kinnert's kickoff on the 13-yard line. And Brown is tackled at the 31. Saskatchewan will have possession of the football to get things underway at Taylor Field tonight. 21-yard return by Albert Brown.
The wind has picked up just a bit in the last 15 minutes, and I guess Mike Rowley feels that they can get the ball down there and pin the offense. He wants to take advantage of that wind in the first quarter.
Tom Burgess off to a very good start. Has his Riders first and 10 at the 31. Burgess back to pass, stepped away from some pressure, and then had the pass fall incomplete when Elgard couldn't squeeze it. Well, the heat that has been hitting Saskatchewan and Alberta all summer has relented a little bit today. Very pleasant, but not as hot as it's been most of the summer. And the wind favors the Blue Bombers northwest of 26 kilometers in the first quarter. Second and 10, Saskatchewan from their 31. Burgess puts it up long. Fairholm has it, and he's gone.
You couldn't start a game any better than this. There's a blitz. It's awfully well picked up. You see 32, Milson Jones sliding in and picking the man up just before he gets to Burgess. Then Fairholm to the inside, gets by Benny Thompson.
You know, of all the attributes that first-round draft pick Jeff Fairholm has, Neil, the strongest one is not speed. He's not considered to have great speed, average speed, but he showed, I would say, maybe slightly better than average on that. Ridgway with the convert and a 79-yard Burgess to Fairholm touchdown strike has got these fans in Taylor Field in a pretty good mood early.
Well, speed isn't always the case if he can come off the ball with quickness, and what he does here is he knows what's going on upfield. He knows the blitz is coming. He does take that inside on Thompson. One of the best things about Jeff Fairholm, according to John Gregory, is his ability to read defenses as he's going downfield. Unlike most rookies, that's what makes him very veteran-like. Cool and calm. He knows what's coming. Just lays it up.
Burgess won't throw the ball much better than that either. He was right on target. He led Fairholm to it. And Benny Thompson, who was beaten early off the line, he got caught in a bad position against Fairholm, and Fairholm just took that gorgeous pass from Burgess. And the Riders are up 7-0. That scoring play at 44 seconds of the opening quarter. Second touchdown of the season for young Fairholm. And we had his first one in the opening game Saskatchewan played against Ottawa. This is James Jefferson for the Blue Bombers. And he may go. Now he's driven out at the Saskatchewan 33-yard line, but the Bombers quickly answer back with a big play of their own.
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have maybe sputtered on offense and played tough defense thus far this season, but one of the highlights for Mike Riley is their special teamwork. Unusual early on in the season to see something click as quickly as it does, but you see Jefferson's ability to escape that 1-foot tackle, keep his balance, and go up a nice shoot that was well placed by the blockers.
Roy DeWalt with the Blue Bomber offense first and 10 at the Saskatchewan 32. DeWalt quick pass, and it's no good behind the intended receiver, Jeff Smith, down at the 20-yard line. Neil, when you're shaken by an early touchdown the way Saskatchewan shook Winnipeg, what a terrific thing to have happen. That kick return by Jefferson, it kind of relieves the shock that you're suffering from.
Oh, and it couldn't have happened at a better time. Often you wait and say the offense says, okay, we're going to get this one back. But Jefferson took a little bit of that away, but Winnipeg does have a great opportunity.
Second and 10, Bombers at the Saskatchewan 32. Roughriders looked like they were offside. DeWalt finally gets it off, no good, intended for Shorten. Paul Shorten over the middle. Penalty flag down.
I think you're right. Gary Lewis, number 79, was a little bit quick off the mark.
Had referee Dave Ewell indicating that it was Saskatchewan offside.
Offside, Saskatchewan. Second down repeated.
So DeWalt and the Bombers will get a second chance.
I think coming into this game, Roy DeWalt has been shaken his confidence a bit earlier on in the season, and I think this is a good opportunity for him now to establish that confidence and take them the rest of the 25, 26 yards into the end zone.
2nd and 5, Blue Bombers. DeWalt wants to throw quickly, does, completes it. And out of bounds is Perry Tuttle at the Saskatchewan 20-yard line, and that's a Blue Bomber first down.
Well, we're seeing exactly what Mike Riley said they would do in a meeting this morning. Quick drops, no more than 3 steps. Let the receivers get out and underneath the coverage. It's not a big play, but it gets things going for your offense.
Well, when you've struggled the way DeWalt has in the first 2 games, that little pass means a lot. And he's given Winnipeg a 1st and 10 at the Saskatchewan 20-yard line. Roughriders ahead 7-0. We're just over 2 minutes into the game. DeWalt with a long count. The whistle blows and penalty flags down, and it's a time count violation against the Blue Bomber quarterback.
Time count violation. Winnipeg number 9. First down.
Roy DeWalt at quarterback. Walter Bender and Vernon Paul. His running backs, the receiving core with James Murphy and Perry Tuttle counted on to come up with some big plays tonight. And the offensive line that will have to try and handle the Saskatchewan gang, that front 5 that is receiving so much notoriety. First down and 15. Bombers, Saskatchewan 25. DeWalt in the pocket, steps away from the rush, but will not get away from Bobby Jurison.
Well, when you can sustain pressure from your front 4, you don't have to gamble as much as a defensive group. And that's what Saskatchewan really has the ability to do now. Play tough up front.
Illegal procedure. Winnipeg number 80. Decline. 3rd down. 2nd down.
That's Jeff Smith called for procedure. Well, there's 4 of the front 5. The linebacking crew, and it's a solid one. You don't hear a lot about them because those people up front get so much publicity, and then the secondary pretty good as well. 2nd down and 19. Blue Bombers. DeWalt throws complete. No, it's not complete. It's dropped by Shorten, who was hit at the 20 and couldn't hang on to the ball.
Shorten, number 70, incomplete. Outright was Mike Magruder, number 28.
So the Bombers unable to capitalize on the 63-yard kickoff return by James Jefferson. And if you're a Bomber fan, Neil, you wouldn't be, I don't think, all that encouraged by what you saw of the offense in that particular series, taking nothing away from Saskatchewan's defense. Trevor Kennard will attempt a 37-yard field goal with the win. Cameron puts it down, and Kennard puts it through. With 12:01 left in the opening quarter, Saskatchewan has a 4-point lead. Winnipeg quarterback Roy DeWalt talking upstairs to Bruce Lemmerman, the offensive coach. 36-yard field goal by Trevor Kennard gives Winnipeg its first points of the game. Saskatchewan leading 7-3. Milson Jones carrying on first down, and he was caught in the backfield by James West and held to no gain.
James West, known for his quickness and being able to sneak up to that offensive line or that restricted area and being able to just guess the jump of the quarter, or get the jump on the quarterback snap. And that time, if it hadn't been for Milson Jones' quickness, he would have taken it right in the face.
West does a lot of talking out there. The departure of Tyrone Jones doesn't mean that the Winnipeg defense still doesn't do a lot of chattering. 2nd and 10. Roughriders from just across their 35. Comes a blitz. Burgess gets it away. Elgard, what a catch! Down to the Winnipeg 42.
Well, Burgess doesn't seem to be having a problem recognizing what's happening in the front 7 and then downfield where he has to make the read right there. Battle and West coming late. Nicely picked up by McRae, knocking Battle over, but just being able to read the situation downfield. Burgess is no longer a young quarterback. He may be in age, but his experience is tremendous.
Burgess has completed 2 passes for 93 yards, and Tim McRae has just run for another 13 inside the Winnipeg 30-yard line. The Rough Rider offensive team with Burgess at quarterback, McRae and Jones, and we'll see a lot of Conrad and Ferdinand as the running backs. The receivers, Elgard and Fairholm inside, and Ellingson will play at slot quite a bit too, in the offensive line. A 5-man unit that head coach John Gregory is very pleased with. Mike Riley, Bomber head coach, and to his right, Scott Schumann, who is the offensive line coach. On first down, the Rough Riders try to run up the middle, and they get nowhere.
Mike Riley saying the most important thing his defense had to do early was stop the run. Saskatchewan has been very effective, more so this year than they ever have, at least since 1975, in mixing the run and pass and keeping defenses honest.
Interesting, too, in the background to see Tom Mickey talking with Perry Tuttle. Tuttle, one of the Bomber receivers. Second down and 10, Saskatchewan. The football at the Winnipeg 30. Flags down as Burgess drops, gets it off again with a rush, and it's intercepted. James Jefferson knocked out of bounds at the Bomber 40-yard line, but there is a penalty flag.
Winnipeg procedure, I believe. I guess they call it offside on the defense, don't they?
Offside, Winnipeg number 34. Second down.
That's Greg Battle, one of those linebackers trying to get just a bit of a jump at the snap of the ball, and he was too quick. And it cost the Bombers, one of the most penalized teams in the CFL last year, keeping a Saskatchewan drive alive and wiping out an interception. Although Burgess may have anticipated the offside and not worry too much about where he threw the ball. 2nd and 5, Riders at the Winnipeg 25. Burgess swings it out for Milson Jones, but it was way over his head as the pocket had closed quite tightly around Saskatchewan quarterback Tom Burgess, as head coach John Gregory directs traffic.
David Conrad from Acadia has been a big part of the offense, and as Dave Ridgway has, especially last game.
Well, he kicked 8 field goals against the Edmonton Eskimos to tie his CFL single game record. Your basic perfect on the season. And he's made, this is a statistic that is somewhat mind-boggling. He's made 59 of his last 67 field goal tries, almost 90%. The holder just hitting on the field. Ridgway hitting it from the 32, and it is good. And Saskatchewan goes up by 10-3. 9 minutes and 5 seconds remaining in the opening quarter.
Glenn Suter just putting his gloves back on. He's normally free safety, but in the special teams and the field goal, he holds for Dave Ridgway. And he just made it in time.
1971-77, defensive tackle, nicknamed Big Cat.
Well, Ridgway has been just remarkable in the last couple of years. In his entire career, he's made 208 out of 284 tries. That's a career percentage of 74. And we talked about that in the opening game of the season, Neil. That's just way beyond what any coach has a reasonable expectation of from a field goal kicker.
Well, he has a rhythm that he works on every day, and he thinks that he approaches it very much like a golfer would a golf swing. And when that swing goes wrong, or you're doing something very slight to make a change, it can affect it. So
Bombers have asked Saskatchewan to kick off after the field goal. Wicklum bats down the kickoff, and Walter Bender picks it up and gets it to the Blue Bomber 45-yard line. Again, keeping in mind that Winnipeg does have the wind advantage in this opening quarter. Roy DeWalt coming back onto the field with the Bomber offense. 31-year-old, 9-year veteran from Texas Arlington, fighting to find his form early in this season after coming over from the BC Lions as a free agent. Shorten to the right, Murphy wide left, lots of motion, and DeWalt wants a quick throw. It's that hitch screen, and Shorten has it for a gain of 3 or 4. There was a Rough Rider who came very close to picking that one off.
Well, one of the reasons Eddie Lowe has been so effective in his outside linebacker spot is his quickness and his ability to get to the ball after it's thrown. 6 feet, 210 pounds, but he gets out there and doesn't even give Bender a chance to block him.
Wasn't as close to being picked off as I thought it was, but there was quite a bit of traffic over there. DeWalt throws on second down. No good. It was intended for Vernon Paul. And on 3rd and 7, the Blue Bombers will have to punt.
7 at the 48.
He's got to know that it's covered. But if he calls for a cover 10, you can't say cover 1 and play it because there's no safe. But you do. No, I'm just telling you, in case it happens, you can't say play 1.
That was linebacker coach Bob Padilla talking with Aaron Brown at the Blue Bomber bench. 3rd down and 7. Bombers at their 48-yard line. Saskatchewan leading 10-3. Bob Cameron, who has a strained ligament in his right knee and hasn't kicked much in the last 2 weeks, will punt. And he gets a good one off. Joe Fuller at the 9-yard line, and good special teams work by the Blue Bomber. Stopped Fuller in his tracks. 7:44 left in the first quarter. This is a Foster's Lager telecast on the Canadian Football Network.
A slight discrepancy like that can make him stutter a bit.
Great job by Cameron to get it down in good position. Kennard hit it well, but pushed it to the right a little bit. 1st and 10, Roughriders. They lead 10-4. This is Milson Jones trying to break outside. Greg Battle caught him from behind. Haley and Sampson moved in to finish him off.
Well, that's the type of defense Riley's looking for. Block up the middle, and a good running back like Milson Jones will try to bounce it out, but keep filling those holes. See, Mikowas makes him change his mind, but the pursuit from the side and Sampson coming up nullifies the play.
Mike Riley said for his team to have a chance to win tonight, they need an outstanding game from their defense. 2nd and 11. Riders at their 49. Burgess under pressure and sacked back at the 32 or 33-yard line. Callaway, the linebacker playing only his 2nd game, made the sack.
Well, making a quarterback or flushing him out of the pocket, you've got to make sure you've got good pressure come from that outside, so you're making half a circle. And there's the pressure right there, but there's no place to go because of good upfield rush by the end. Callaway plays the position perfectly and is there to get Tom Burgess.
Aaron Brown and Michael Gray congratulating themselves on some good work by the Winnipeg defense. 3rd down and 25. Roughriders at their 35-yard line. Baker to punt again into the wind. Jeff Smith catches it on the run at the 50 and gets up to the Winnipeg 54-yard line. And once again, the Blue Bombers will have good field position as their offense comes out.
It'll be Winnipeg, 1st and 10 at center field, 54-yard line.
An offense that has been unable thus far to do very much against a good Saskatchewan defense. Ken Winey into the game for Paul Shorten. He splits wide right. Murphy wide left. DeWalt wanted the ball quickly. It didn't come, and he's going to go down back at the 50 as penalties are called.
Harry Lewis tackling Roy DeWalt. There's flags.
Just another example of how Roy DeWalt still doesn't have the flow in the offense.
Illegal procedure. Winnipeg 26. Decline. 2nd down.
Well, it's the tempo that isn't there. It's, you know, Mike Riley says we have to establish some tempo now. DeWalt's looking for the ball on 1st sound. He has to wait. Communication isn't there between the center and the quarterback.
The penalty against Ken Winey, but it was the mess up with the center and the quarterback that caused it. DeWalt to throw. He's hit, and it nearly got to James Murphy, but Albright running across the field got a hand on it to knock it away. Eddie Loeb, not Albright.
Well, I think that's a reception right there. If DeWalt can stay on 2 feet and throw the ball as he normally can. Sprinting to the left, he's going to turn back. The receiver's coming across the formation, but right there, Jurison just gets to DeWalt in time, and when he's pulling DeWalt down, the ball starts to go down, and great hustle by Eddie Lowe to get across the field.
2:23 left, opening quarter. 10-4 Saskatchewan. Bob Cameron on 3rd down and 15. Football at the Winnipeg 50-yard line. And another good kick with the win by Cameron. To Richie Hall, and he gets back to the 19-yard line of the Roughriders.
Well, one of the toughest things for a quarterback to do when he hasn't worked with the offense's receivers, really, you know, you look at a quarterback and he's 50% of the offense. If he has not been working with guys like Murphy and Tuttle, it throws off the whole scheme. So it's important that they get that arm of his better and he gets more time to work during the week.
49-yard punt by Cameron, a 7-yard return by Richie Hall. The Roughriders, enjoying a 10-4 lead, have a 1st and 10 at their 18-yard line. Burgess has time and gets the ball away up to the 30-yard line and completes it. A nice catch up there by Ray McDonald.
Well, that was a pretty good battle downfield. Both the receiver and the defensive back are trying to establish their position on the field. Only 3 steps, and Burgess decides to change his mind. Doesn't want to go his first receiver, so now he's got the cool to look downfield and pick out somebody else.
When the Bombers don't blitz, they don't often get much pressure, and they didn't that time. Burgess had lots of time. 1st down handoff. Flags all over the place as there was early movement. We have yet another penalty with 1:12 remaining in the opening quarter.
Offside, Winnipeg number 34. 1st down repeated.
2nd time this quarter, Neil, for Greg Battle.
Well, I think what Burgess is doing and being quite effective at it is being able to come up to the line of scrimmage and become jerky with his voice. The inflection, he sees somebody blitzing, he will change that inflection, and it's a great way to draw people offside.
Mike Riley says Matt Dunnigan does that better than anybody since Tom Wilkinson, I guess. 1st and 5, Roughriders at their 35. Burgess has a man wide open at the 40-yard line. It's Fairholm, and he's out to the 46. There was nobody within 5 yards of him.
Once again, a good example of Jeff Fairholm being able to read what's going on downfield. You'll see Burgess look down. He wants to throw it further downfield, but decides to change, go to a secondary or one of his 3rd receivers, and let Fairholm get the 1st down himself.
Fairholm with a 79-yard touchdown pass in the game's opening minute. Burgess throws for Elgard, and he bats it around a couple of times and can't haul it in. You can just see the confidence that Burgess has developed, Neil, in these first 2 games.
Well, asking Coach Gregory yesterday, was his team overconfident? He says, no, I don't think we can be overconfident because we've been hungry for too long.
2nd and 10. Roughriders at their 46. Burgess with a blitz coming, and he's going to go long again. Elgard at the 30. Gets away from Haley, and he'll score.
Winnipeg has become vulnerable in the blitzing and up the middle. They've taken the safety and pushed him into another coverage. That leaves the middle wide open. Both times they've done it. Both times the execution has been outstanding. First by Fairholm and now by Elgard.
Oh, there's really no comparison between the speed of Elgard and Ken Haley. Haley would be much faster, but he was badly beaten. And again, a perfectly thrown football by Tom Burgess. Ridgway with the convert attempt. There is a flag on the play as Ridgway makes the convert. We'll come back and tell you about it. The Roughriders enjoy it. He's just scored on a 64-yard pass and run play with quarterback Tom Burgess. First quarter ending with Saskatchewan leading Winnipeg 17-4. Penalty against Winnipeg for offside on the convert. So Ridgway kicks out from his 40 with the wind. He pounds it to the 5. This is James Jefferson. And he's down to the 19 by Jeff Treflin.
Treflin from McMaster is the 6th defensive back in the scheme of things for Saskatchewan. He's always been a great special teams player. One of his specialties is returning kickoffs, but he just flipped the coin over right there and did a great job coming in from the outside.
Bombers from their 18. Last week against Hamilton, Mike Riley took DeWalt out in the first quarter. Tonight, Neely's obviously made a decision. He's going to give DeWalt a good period of time to show whether or not he can get things going. Handoff on a draw to Walter Bender. And he has a good gain out to the 32-yard line. That'll be a 13-yard run for Walter Bender. Tom Mickey, the man who came on in relief of DeWalt and led the Bombers to that win over Hamilton, watching as Winnipeg goes without a huddle, 1st and 10 at their 32. DeWalt hands off, and there is absolutely no room in the middle at all.
Well, if DeWalt and that offensive team of Winnipeg can have some success with the running game, that will slow down that front four of the Riders and really give him more opportunity to throw the football. But you see some quickness off the ball by Lewis. He's just come in. He makes a good move on Messiah and the ball snap. They're just doing a good job against the run.
Tony Johns lost a yard, 2nd and 11. DeWalt's pass is batted down at the line by Vince Goldsmith, I believe. No, it was Rick Clausen who got up to knock it down.
That's one thing you try to teach your defensive lineman to do, and it's not much fun to be able to expose your chest to a guy who's ready to give you a pop and block you. But if your timing's good, as Clausen's was there, and you get close enough, simply putting the hands up can often distract the quarterback and in some cases knock it down, as he did there.
3rd down and 11. Bombers at their 30. Bob Cameron will kick into the wind for the first time in the game. He says he doesn't like kicking into the wind here at Taylor Field. He's a good wind kicker, but for some reason has problems into the wind here. Gets a pretty good one away there, though. And Richie Hall has it at the 45 and goes nowhere. He's throwing back to the 40. Good coverage. That's been a highlight for the Bombers. We're just about 2 minutes into the second quarter at Taylor Field. Just about 2 minutes into the second quarter. It's been the Tom Burgess show at Taylor Field. A couple of long touchdown passes. And on the other side, Roy DeWalt. And the Bomber offense struggling. Saskatchewan leading 17-4. The ball at their 44 with a 1st and 10 and a handoff. Gives them a good gain out to the 51-yard line. Denny Ferdinand carrying for the first time in the game. He has a gain of 7.
Well, Saskatchewan sticking with that, rotating the backs. If it's not Milson Jones and Tim McRae, it could be David Conrad or Denny Ferdinand. And I think having Milson Jones come in and McRae playing so well brings out the best in the other backs. And you can't do it if you haven't got guys that can play.
Mike Riley, the Bomber head coach, is very impressed with Saskatchewan's running game with those Canadians and McRae. 2nd down and 3 Riders. Handoff Milson Jones right side, and he stopped short. Aaron Brown filling that hole the way he used to in 1984 when the Blue Bombers won the Grey Cup back this year from the NFL.
Asking Mike Riley today if he thought Aaron Brown had lost a step, he said, well, he still moves the ball well and he can still explode through the ball carrier, so he looks pretty good to me.
There's confusion with the Blue Bombers on this 3rd down and almost 2 for the Roughriders at their 52 as they get set to punt. Stopped short on the 2nd down and 3, and it's a fake. Tom Burgess gets across center field and to the Winnipeg 54, and he has a 1st down.
A well-executed play. Burgess first comes out and lines up behind the center, then backs away. Direct snap to Burgess. He has a lead block. Everyone on the right side of the line reaches and tries to cut somebody off. Benny Thompson's over there, but that quick cut upfield got him the 1st down.
We saw the Roughriders do that a number of times last year, and it worked very well that time. They didn't get a lot of yards, but they got all they needed. The ball is set at center field. Saskatchewan with a 1st and 10. And Burgess throws, and it's picked off by Rod Hill at the Bomber 45-yard line. Ray McDonald was the intended receiver.
Hill's been a good acquisition for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He made a commitment when he came to Winnipeg, moved his family up, and he's been tested a number of times throughout the season so far, and he's responded very well right here, moving inside as we've seen him do before, responding to the quarterback and picking off the ball.
Wednesday night on the Canadian Football Network, you saw Fred Glick, the head coach of the Ottawa Roughriders, with this expression just after Robert Reed dropped a pass in the end zone that would have given Ottawa a tie with Edmonton. The Eskimos beating the Roughriders and dropping Ottawa to 0-3 as Tom Mickey is in the game and is hit and fumbles the ball. And we have with us via telephone from Ottawa the general manager of the Ottawa Roughriders, Paul Robson, who dismissed Fred Glick as Ottawa's head coach yesterday. Paul, was it your decision or was it made in consultation with the team's directors?
No, Bob, it was my decision. That's what they hired the general manager to do. It was not an easy decision. It wasn't a pleasant decision, but it was completely mine.
What went into it, Paul?
Well, I think in professional sport, it's a matter of wins and losses, and our football team just hadn't won enough. And that's an unfortunate thing, because I think Fred did a lot of things to set the stage for us to win, but we hadn't won.
Paul, must have been even tougher after just a tremendous performance against the Eskimos. I know it's not something you plan to do, but after that game, it was even tougher, I bet.
Yes, it was, because our team played well, and they played with some enthusiasm, and probably played the best that they played all year. But it was a very difficult decision, but it was one that I felt I had to make.
Paul, was there one thing about your team that you saw that you didn't like that resulted in you making the decision?
Well, I think that Saskatchewan is showing you tonight some of the things that I think every professional team has to play, and that's a tremendous enthusiasm and intensity, and I'm hopeful that we'll get to that level in the next little while.
You're talking about intensity for your players. Do you think the dismissal will affect them adversely, or can you turn things around quickly and get them pumped up for Toronto?
Well, I'm sure that, I know that they were upset. They were extremely fond of Fred, as I am, and as everyone was. Fred certainly impressed everybody. He was a player's coach, but I think that's the long and the short of the professional business. It's just wins. Bob Weber is taken over, and Bob feels that they can get ready, and they have to get ready for a very, very tough Toronto team.
Why Weber is the replacement, Paul?
Well, Bob has been a head coach in the U.S. colleges, and I felt that Bob could do a good job, and I know he can do a good job, and I just felt that he was the best man for the job.
Paul, thank you very much for talking with us tonight.
You're welcome, Bob.
Paul Robson, the general manager of the Ottawa Roughriders, who will host the Toronto Argonauts on Tuesday and try to get their first win, and we'll have the game on the Canadian Football Network. Well, while we were talking with Paul, the Roughriders have increased their lead over Winnipeg to 16 points with a Dave Ridgway field goal that followed a Tom Mickey fumble. Mickey replacing Roy DeWalt at quarterback.
Tom Mickey had some success last week. Actually looked quite good for a fellow who hadn't been into the active play during a game very much in his career. Showed a lot of poise, and I think they need that short passing game right now that maybe he can give them.
Second down and inches for the Bombers. Tony Johns jumping across the line of scrimmage, and looked like he got the first down. Yes, he did, but not by very much, as David Albright met him head-to-head.
Albright, who led all CFL in tackles last year. There's a super look at the surge of coming off the football and really getting under the offensive lineman. It's a stalemate there. Now your linebackers can run free, as Albright did right there and made a good hit.
First and 10 Bombers at their 46. 8:23 left in the second quarter. Tom Mickey will throw quickly to Jeff Smith. He has it at the 50. Hit right away. Good coverage by Fuller. The Bombers will gain 4, maybe 5 yards on the play.
Well, they call Jeff Smith their possession receiver. They figure he can catch the ball anywhere if it's thrown around, and he expects to catch the ball, but we're seeing that 3-step drop that we talked about what DeWalt wanted to do earlier on in the game, and Mickey's just really taking the game plan from the start and beginning when he gets a chance.
Jeff Smith, number 80, second down, and long 5, closer to 6 for the Bombers at their 50. Mickey gets away from the first rush, gets the pass off, and it's no good. There is a penalty flag down. Ken Winey was the intended receiver. There was contact down there, and it looks like it's going to go against the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Forward pass interference, Saskatchewan number 26.
As we saw that play going on downfield, and I saw Suter playing free safety, just sitting back and watching the quarterback, I thought we were going to see a tremendous collision, fearing Suter would go for the man and not for the ball. But you see, he figures he's got the interception, and it looked like he had.
Well, the fans at Taylor Field once again voicing their opinion, as they are entitled to do, over that call. Ken Winey was really rocked on that play. Paul Shorten back into the game at wide receiver to replace him. The Bombers 1st and 10 at the Saskatchewan 41-yard line. Roughriders ahead by 16 points. Tom Mickey throws, and it's was it intercepted? Yes. Steve Crane, the linebacker. This CFL cast is brought to you by Foster's Lager. Saskatchewan Roughriders putting it to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the first half at Taylor Field. 16 points up with 5:57 to go. Ken Winey, who went in earlier for Paul Shorten at wide receiver and then was shaken up when he was hit hard, trying to work out the kinks along the Blue Bomber bench. As Tom Mickey will try once again to get something going with that Winnipeg offense. 1st and 10 from their 38 after the Baker punt. And out to Walter Bender on a draw, and the hole closes quickly.
Ball carrier is Walter Bender.
And the ball was fumbled, and the Roughriders have it.
James Curry is very close to the football. They close again. Impressed by the way this defense has been playing. James Curry, one of the leaders, comes down. Quick draw. You see a quick move by Lewis to the right, but Curry makes some penetration and then moves well to the ball when he sees Bender's got the ball. But Bender didn't have the ball for long.
James Curry reaching in and pulling it out of Walter Bender's grasp. Mike Riley, who just turned 35, probably feels about 55 right now. Burgess faking and throwing and completing to Fairholm at the 20. Down close to the 10-yard line.
That's a great play. Burgess fakes one way. Now he's got Brian Illebroom, 61, out in front of him throwing the block. You think he's going to throw to the side that he's going to? No. Fairholm's coming back against the flow, evades a tackle, and then heads to the sidelines. Well executed.
Was it ever? Young Mr. Fairholm has caught 3 balls for 118 yards tonight and a touchdown.
The gang is bad.
The gang, that's what they call themselves. The defensive front 5. James Curry informing us. Here's a throw into the end zone. No good. Intended for Tim Kearse. Well, this front 5 of the Roughriders was so good in the first 2 games of the season. They decided to come up with a nickname for themselves, and they called themselves the Gang, and there they are.
And that's the publicity picture that was taken, and there's the individual shot, as I'm sure is up in either some room of the house. No, they're being sold for charity throughout the stadium today.
And the great marker reads, quarterbacks rest in peace. Burgess in the end zone, and Elgard can't quite hang on. There is a flag, and it's going to be holding against Saskatchewan. James Curry wanted to call defensive 5 the James Gang.
Holding, Saskatchewan number 30, declined. Third down.
That was vetoed by the other 4. Actually, I should say the other 6 members, but they include 2 players, Greg McCormick and John Walker, who are on the reserve list and practice roster in the James Gang.
I asked Bill Baker yesterday, who was the general manager, if he had anything to do with it, being his nickname when he played was The Undertaker, and he said, no, my motto was just walk softly and carry a big stick.
Ridgway will try a 17-yard field goal, and he has no problem with that, and it is now Saskatchewan 23 and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 4.
Oh, that was one of the main reasons I came, because of quality of life.
Rod Hill has an interception for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in this game. They haven't had a lot to write home about. That's been one thing. And a Ridgway field goal has them down by 19 now. Tom Mickey and company from the 35, 1st and 10, flags down. Mickey has time to throw and delivers, but it's no good up at the 46-yard line. Intended for Paul Shorten.
Pass was intended for 80, Jeff Smith. Flag down.
Illegal procedure. Winnipeg 63. Declined. Second down.
Chris Walby, the big right tackle, who has been an All-Canadian the last 4 years. Cut for procedure. The Riders decline it. It'll be Winnipeg 2nd and 10 at their 35. Mickey sacked by Gary Lewis. Linebacker Dave Albright.
One of the few times we've seen Saskatchewan bring extra pressure other than the front four. He's going to sprint. Mickey will to his right. Albright moves over with the sprint and gets a gap and comes through and gets himself a sack.
Talking with Albright yesterday, the linebackers on this team don't blitz very often because the front gets such a good rush on their own, but that must have been fun for Albright.
Well, I mentioned earlier that he led the CFL in tackles. He won't make as many tackles this year, not because of lack of ability, but that defense won't be on the field nearly as much as they were last year.
3rd and 17. Bombers, bad snap. Cameron is able to get it away. That was a miraculous job by Cameron. Joe Fuller gets it back to the 50-yard line. 3:05 left in the first half. As Bob Cameron leaves the field.
Cameron turns a potential disastrous situation into a pretty good one. That's got to put some extra strain on that sore leg, though.
Foster's Lager and the Canadian Football Network proud to bring you the best of the CFL.
There's a good shot of where the center's lined up and where the punter Cameron is lined up a little bit to the left, and now he's going to have to make an adjustment. The center snaps it straight back.
He snapped it to where he thought Cameron should be, which is in the center of the field, but he wasn't there. Burgess on first down hits Conrad up to the 50 of Winnipeg. It'll be a gain of very close to a Saskatchewan first down. 2 minutes, 52 seconds left in the first half. The Roughriders lead by 19 points.
Report the timekeeper's bench.
Ken Winey, who was hurt in a collision with safety Glenn Suter of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, thought he might get back in, but with that ice on the right knee, at least keeps him out till halftime.
You know, Neil, John Gregory, the coach of the Riders, said he doesn't want his team to get too carried away with the 2-0 start, become overconfident at all. But he did say he wants them to be confident and to express that, to be quietly cocky, because good teams are like that.
Well, I think they are. They prepare for every game, believing that they can't be beaten, or that there's going to have the defense or the offense of the opposing team is going to have to do something to stop them. Make the team change for us. Don't try to change for another team. That's an aggressive, positive attitude.
Well, the Roughriders have been aggressive. They've been positive. They have been too much for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in this first half as they lead 23-4, and Tom Burgess is having some night, and he has a first down on a quarterback sneak. 255 yards passing for Burgess in the first half, and it's not even over.
Oh, it's a long way from being over, and I think Mike Riley and his coaches and players have to keep that in mind. This is only the first half of the football game, and if Saskatchewan can score that many points in the first half, so can Winnipeg in the second.
I think Mike Riley might ask some of his players to take a long look in the mirror at halftime.
Bomber 48.
1st and 10, Roughriders at the Bomber 48-yard line. 2:20 left first half. Burgess to Fairholm on a reverse. And Fairholm has a gain of 9.
Well, if you've got an inside receiver with the quickness of a Jeff Fairholm, you might as well run the inside handoff almost like a reverse to him. See Burgess take a real shot from James West, but West was just a half a second too late. But a great instinct when it comes to running the football. Sees to take it upfield and run off one of his blockers.
Coming into this game, Fairholm had only caught 2 passes in the first 2 games. We asked Gregory if he's not, if he's struggling with his adjustment to pro ball. He says, no, he's playing great. The ball just hasn't gone his way. Well, it sure has tonight. Burgess looking for Ray McDonald, this time deep. Jefferson with tight coverage, and it's incomplete. And again, the fans on that play think there should have been a flag.
I like to call the short yard situation that Saskatchewan's had great success running the football. This time they just put the hand in the running back's belly instead of the ball and come up throwing.
That was 2nd and a yard. Bob Padilla, the Blue Bomber coach on the sideline, sending a signal in. It'll be 3rd and a yard. Roughriders at the Bomber 39.5 with 1:50 left in the first half. Milson Jones, left side, first down.
Milson Jones carrying the ball.
That shows you the kind of confidence that the Gregory has in that short yardage team, that they can take a chance in the second down, and then the third down opportunity with that surge of the offensive line and Milson Jones being very square. In other words, his shoulders are square and his helmet square to the line of scrimmage when he hits up there, so he can make a cut either way. They're the boys they affectionately call the Hogs.
The offensive line of the Riders, they've done some job tonight. Burgess, as penalty flags fly, throws this one about a half a mile over the head of Ray McDonald and out of bounds. But there were penalty flags, and Dave Ewell will inform us what's going on.
Offside, 37 Winnipeg. Unnecessary roughness on the passer, 57 Winnipeg.
Benny Thompson and Mark Seal called respectively for offside and roughing the passer.
Well, moving up close to coverage or when you're ready to blitz, you've got to give that 1 yard. And even if your feet are there, if you're leaning over, that's still the infraction. Pretty good move by Fairholm right there, too.
And then Mark Seal put a hit on Tom Burgess, likely out of frustration. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders, as Mike Riley looks on at the debacle he has witnessed in this first half, the Roughriders will be on the Winnipeg 18-yard line, leading 23-4.
When I asked Mike Riley this morning what impressed him about the Saskatchewan Roughriders and how they have improved from 1987, he gave me 3 things. Success breeds confidence. They're showing that in their play. They've put key players, good players, in important positions, and they've developed the running game.
The 18-yard line.
And they put it all together in this first half as they bid to go to 3-0 early in the CFL season. 1st and 10 from the Bomber 18. Burgess in the end zone. No good. Looking for Ellingson, who shares time with Elgard and Fairholm at the 2 slot back positions.
2nd and 10 on the 18.
Burgess feeling he could just loft that ball over the outside. There was a pretty good play made by James Jefferson. The coverage was by Haley, and that was there, but Jefferson came off his coverage to come back in and help out and really took that sideline away from Ellingson.
1:24 left in the half. 23-4. Saskatchewan leads. Riders 2nd and 10 at the Bomber 18. Burgess with Benny Thompson all over him gets the ball away. It hits the goalpost. But Burgess did a good job there of just avoiding a big loss with Benny Thompson blitzing and coming through clean.
Well, there's one good way to take the sting out of a defense, and that's have some success when they blitz. This time they were able to get to Burgess before he could really get a chance, and a good hit and quickness shown by Benny Thompson. 2 other situations so far tonight, Burgess has been able to connect for those long plays. They're going to have to get to him quicker if they're going to blitz and make themselves vulnerable in the secondary.
Ridgway has field goals 11, 12, and 13 of the season tonight. This one from 25 yards is good. He has his 4th of the night and 14th of the season. And the Roughriders have a 26-4 lead over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Tom Burgess on the phone there, as you can see, quite probably talking with Steve Goldman, the offensive coordinator, discussing that last play, where the read should come from when a certain halfback like Benny Thompson did in the last play blitz.
You know, Neil, a lot of questions being asked about the Riders at 2-0. Are they for real? The season is a long one, 18 games, but they're answering some questions tonight as Tom Mickey finds Jeff Smith on 1st down and gains about 7 yards for the Bombers.
Well, I don't think there's any question that they're solid, and that, that there was no doubt coming into the season that their defense would be tough. But I think the offense, led by Burgess, is definitely answering some questions too.
2nd and 3, Bombers at their 42. Mickey completes to Jeff Smith. Again, he fumbles the ball, and the Riders have it.
Same play twice in a row. The second time was not a charm. You watch Jeff Smith over the middle, just simply going downfield and curling up in front of both linebackers, Albright and Lowe, and you see Lowe come through and strip the ball. If you know your partner's got the tackle, come through and get the ball.
So the Roughriders, with a minute left and a half, have a chance to add to their lead at 26-4. With the Smith fumble at the 47. Denny Ferdinand with a first down run gets away from Michael Gray, but runs into the arms of Stan Mikowas and will gain maybe a yard.
Steve Crane comes up with another one tonight. Well, you can see the excitement that they've been able to generate not only on the field but off the field on the sidelines, and Jeff Smith knows he's got to make sure when that ball's caught, put it away.
2nd and 9.
2nd down and 9. Roughriders at the Bomber 46. 40 seconds left in the half. Burgess quick pass, no good. Intended for Ray Elgard.
Burgess knows that pass was there. Winnipeg's playing their safety, Daryl Sampson, quite deep. Those inside receivers are being able to go downfield and get inside the halfbacks. As Dave Ridgway is going to try to make it 5 for 5.
Well, he's kicked a 60-yarder in his career. He did that last year. He'll try from 53. There was a wind when the game started, but the flags are limp here at Taylor Field now, so I don't think he has any help from the wind. Hits it pretty good, though. And it's good.
Incredible consistency shown by Dave Ridgway. Nice place by the left foot, right where the tee is. A smooth follow through, and that heads down. And you have to give some credit to Suter. That ball's right where Ridgway wants it. And I keep asking myself the question, what's going to take for this guy to miss one?
He's a machine. That's 5 tonight. 15 for 15 on the season. And it's 29-4 Saskatchewan. Tom Mickey throws, no good, intended for either Jeff Smith or Perry Tuttle. And the Blue Bombers continue to be a picture of frustration and, well, whatever you want to call a team that's trailing by 25 points as halftime approaches.
I think frustration is a pretty good way to describe it. And just tell by the look on Mike Riley's face, thinking about what he's going to have to do at halftime, the changes that are going to be made.
2nd and 10, Blue Bombers. Mickey, pass knocked down by Richie Hall, intending it for James Murphy.
On the play was number 7, Richie Hall.
So with 25 seconds left in the half, well, the way things are going for the Roughriders, maybe they'll get another chance to score.
Well, the Riders have Richie Hall deep to receive the punt, and they have 11 men up, even though Winnipeg has a spread set, so 2 of the men are wide, right in the bottom of the screen there, but I'm sure Saskatchewan will come after it.
Cameron gets a good snap, big rush. He just got it away. Richie Hall at the 40, stopped at the 42-yard line. Paul Clantley downfield, a 35-yard kick, and only a 2-yard return in a totally dismal first half for the Blue Bombers. The one thing they've done well is cover kicks.
Well, they've done that well all season. Their special teams, as we said earlier, has really been the bright spot for Winnipeg.
And you have to look real hard for bright spots for them tonight as they trail 29-4. It's been all Saskatchewan. Is the green machine back? Kind of looks like it. Burgess hands off to Ferdinand on a draw. And he can't step to the outside at the 46-yard line. He tried to get around Callaway, but the rookie Rod Callaway made a good tackle. Ridgway with 5 of those 15 field goals tonight.
The question asked of Gregory at the press conference yesterday was, are you disappointed that you didn't get a chance to score touchdowns, that Ridgway did all your scoring? Well, no, because he's an offensive player, but it looks like today they're going scoring touchdowns. He's still kicking field goals.
Burgess pass incomplete. Ridgway has only missed 8 of his last 72 field goal tries. Truly remarkable, and what a remarkable first half for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They lead by 25 points. Saskatchewan Roughriders, Dave Ridgway, who kicked 5 field goals in the first half, will kick off to start the second half at Taylor Field. James Jefferson at the Bomber 14-yard line. And he's tracked down at the 31 by Jeff Treflin. Everybody's had a role in what's happened here for Saskatchewan tonight, including Jeff Treflin on the special teams.
Well, when you don't get on the field much, only on special teams, you want to make an impact, because when you go in the next day and watch the game fields, you want to feel good about what you've done and that you've participated, and Jeff Treflin has done just that.
What do you think Mike Riley said at halftime? What do you think, Neil?
We've got to score more than they do, a lot more in the second half.
I wonder if he appealed to their pride and everything else. Well, Roy DeWalt is back in at quarterback, and Bobby Jurison and James Curry give him a rather rude welcome back to the game.
You know what a lot of people don't think about is when the Saskatchewan Roughriders rotate their people, the offensive linemen see different people as the game goes on. Steve Rhoda Huskers might be over James Curry in the second quarter. Then he might be over David Black or Chris Walby later on in the game. So an offensive lineman has a tough time getting settled into one style of play. That's the benefit of the Saskatchewan Roughrider defense.
DeWalt will throw long on second down, and it's no good, intended for Tuttle, but there's a penalty flag. And interference, it looks like, will be called against Saskatchewan.
Forward pass interference, Saskatchewan number 24. First down.
Fuller called for interference on Tuttle.
I'm sure Winnipeg doesn't care how they get the ball down the field, but I believe it's crucial that they do it in their first possession in the second half.
It's also crucial, Neil, that they get the football to Perry Tuttle. He is one of their game breakers, one of their very best players. James Murphy as well. Those are the big men on offense. First and 10 from the 50. DeWalt to pass. And has some time, finds Jeff Smith down at the Saskatchewan 53-yard line. He takes a hard hit from Eddie Lowe, but has a gain of 7 yards.
Again, we see Smith catching the ball underneath the coverage, underneath the drop of the linebackers. Obviously, they've seen something, the Winnipeg coaching staff, that the 3 linebackers of Saskatchewan are dropping maybe a little bit too deep. You've got to pull them up, because that deep drop of the linebackers takes away the balls down the field.
DeWalt on second and 3 from the Saskatchewan 53. Up to Tony Johns. Good room through the middle down of the Saskatchewan 43. And that'll be a Winnipeg Blue Bomber first down.
Johns showing some patience as he approaches the line. He can't hit this full blast. You'd like to, but you can't always do it. So you've got to keep your head up, your eyes open, and be able to slow down and accelerate through that zone. He did that well.
29-4 Saskatchewan. We're just underway in the second half. Bombers at the Rider 43 with a first and 10. DeWalt throws to the sidelines to Smith, and there's another penalty flag. Smith was out of bounds when he caught the ball, but it appears we'll have another pass interference call.
Forward pass interference, Saskatchewan 27. First down.
Gregory, I'm sure hoping that these interference calls will not take away the aggressiveness of the way the defensive back should play. Stay on the man. Keep bumping him. Don't let this make you back off. And what it is called for is because Suter's looking at the receiver and putting his hand up, not that he bumped the receiver.
A screening infraction. First and 10 Bombers at the Saskatchewan 28. DeWalt looks for Tuttle. Touchdown. Perry Tuttle found an opening, and Roy DeWalt threw one of the very few good, accurate, crisp passes that he has thrown this entire season.
Accomplishing exactly what I said, and I believe that they wanted to do, is get the ball downfield. But maybe the most important thing about that play right there is Roy DeWalt gets a chance to throw the ball without somebody hanging on him, without him backing off or sprinting out. A good job by the front 5 on the offensive line.
29-yard touchdown pass to Tuttle, his second touchdown of the year. The convert by Kennard is good. It's now 29-11. This CFN telecast is brought to you by Foster's Lager. Perry Tuttle has just scored Winnipeg's first touchdown of the game. It came at 2:29 of the third quarter on a 29-yard pass from Roy DeWalt. It's now 29-11 Saskatchewan as Kennard kicks off to Tim McRae at the 16. And Platney and Sampson bring him down at the Saskatchewan 37-yard line. I don't know what Mike Riley and the Winnipeg coaching staff did at halftime, Neil, but it worked very well offensively in that first series.
Well, we're going to see Kent Austin at quarterback for Saskatchewan right now. But you're right, Winnipeg was able to execute in their first possession. Now it's up to the defense to stop the offense.
Austin from the 38. Throws deep downfield for Fairholm. He has it at the 42 of Winnipeg.
That time, Austin and Fairholm were able to hook up without the middle part of the field being totally vacant like it has been before. Boy, it's key that a receiver can get in that seam, and that seam was just over top of Aaron Brown and inside Betty Thompson.
Fairholm has 148 yards in receiving tonight. Austin throws wide open as McDonald at the 25, and he's into the 16 of the Blue Bombers. So whatever momentum Winnipeg built with that early touchdown is quickly being snatched away by Kent Austin.
Austin again getting good protection. He wants to take a little bit longer because something hasn't come open. Battle gets the hit on him, but not until he gets the ball downfield. No time to warm up. Just keep pumping that ball.
Gregory inserting Kent Austin to start the second half. Burgess had a great first half. He's not injured. Just taking a rest. Austin will run out of bounds at the Blue Bomber 21-yard line. And he'll lose about 5 on that play. Mark Seal and Mike Gray running him out.
Austin seeing an awful lot of people coming from both sides. He's able to escape the blitz, but what the defensive secondary has done is snugged up on the receivers, did a great job of coverage. Right beside Burgess is Jeff Bentram, the third quarterback, and I'd say that's a pretty good half of football right there by Tom Burgess.
Less than 50% completion percentage, but those yards, 255. Austin throws, no good. Intended for McDonald, and there's a penalty flag, and Winnipeg will be called for interference.
Forward pass interference. Winnipeg number 10. First down on the 1.
Rod Hill, who we featured at halftime, called for pass interference.
Bottom left hand of the screen. Austin goes one way and turns back to throw the ball. Hill, who has been so close.
And the Roughriders quickly put it in the end zone with Milson Jones carrying it as they go back up in front 35-11.
Winnipeg, decline. Touchdown.
Scoring play at 4:38 of the third quarter. Just over 2 minutes after Winnipeg had scored.
Quite simply a battle in the pitch. You see Tim McRae pop over the line, making a good block on a Winnipeg defender. And then Milson Jones just having that nose for the goal line.
Ridgway with a convert. And Saskatchewan has their 25-point lead back. It's 36-11 over Winnipeg with 10:22 left in the third quarter.
Not only has Milson Jones added a lot to this football team as far as talent goes, but the coaches say he's becoming somewhat of a leader. And I think having Steve Goldman here with him, he can become a teacher too, because he's been running under Goldman's offensive system in Edmonton for a number of years. He can help with other players and teach them. Looks like he's also got a sore right wrist.
Well, the presence of Steve Goldman here as offensive coordinator with the Roughriders, one of the reasons why Milson Jones wanted to come to Saskatchewan after he was released by Edmonton. Mike Riley, the Bomber coach, talking with safety Darrell Sampson. Sampson replacing departed Scott Flagel in that position. And he's still adjusting to it. Ridgway will kick off, and James Jefferson will catch it at the 9. He's back to the 34-yard line. 74, Rashovich among the tacklers. A 25-yard return by James Jefferson. Kent Austin with a big smile. A lot of smiles at that Rider bench tonight.
A lot of reason to smile. Austin from Mississippi University. His father played some football with Rutgers, and in 1958, Bill Austin, his dad, was 6th in the running for the Heisman Trophy.
Bloodlines. We don't keep track of smiles, but the Riders are rolling those up tonight as well. DeWalt throws quickly to Bender on first down. Good gain out to the 47 of the Blue Bombers. Walter Bender coming out of the backfield. Actually lined up in a slot back position by the time the ball was snapped.
I think what we're seeing here is the old Roy DeWalt being able to read and get the ball downfield. It's one thing to know what's going on, but if you're not sure about your arm, there's always a question mark. But right now, he seems to be making the reads and getting the ball in there.
DeWalt and the Bombers at their 47 with a 1st and 10. DeWalt will swing it out to Bender again. He gets away from the first man, but is forced out of bounds at the 44.
Walter Bender with the ball.
And that'll be a loss for the Blue Bombers of 4 or 5 yards.
It's funny how good linebackers and quick linebackers can let you think a play or a running back is open, and then by the time the ball's out there, Crane's also there.
Well, Neil, we'd like to take a moment to wish former CFL great Terry Evanson and Hamilton Tiger Cats owner Harold Ballard, both of whom are in hospital. Evanson recovering from a car accident and Ballard from major surgery. All the best, and we hope they are well soon. DeWalt scrambling finds Paul Shorten, and he fights out to the 52 of the Blue Bombers. He'll gain about 8 yards, but come up 6 or 7 short of a first down.
Shorten showing some character right there after catching the ball, but you're watching Roy DeWalt coming straight back, so he gets a good look downfield. But watch, he's got to be able to get out of some action. The quarterback hasn't got good feet. He can't maneuver around in that area.
DeWalt and James Murphy having a discussion as Bob Cameron and the Bomber punting team on the field with a 3rd and 6 at the Winnipeg 52. And Cameron gets it away just barely, and it'll bounce out of bounds at the Saskatchewan 35.5. 8 minutes and 32 seconds remain in the 3rd quarter at Taylor Field in Regina. Well, it's a little early to be doling out Shenley awards, but young Jeff Fairholm, the rookie from Arizona, is having a brilliant evening here at Taylor Field, displaying his talents, and he'll be a contender on what we've seen tonight. Denny Ferdinand carrying on first down from the Winnipeg 32 as the 4th quarter begins. And he works hard to pick up 3 or 4 yards.
We've seen some efforts tonight, and Jeff Fairholm showing us a lot of it. Again, Ferdinand on that play, but looking for something extra, not being satisfied with catching the ball or making a carry for 5 or 6 yards, but let's make each one for 9, or let's always get that first down.
2nd and 6 Riders. Bomber 27.5. Austin. Complete to McDonald at the 18-yard line of Winnipeg. That's Kearse, not McDonald, pardon me. Jefferson with good coverage. But Tim Kearse has a first down for the Roughriders.
Simple play coming off to your left. Again, Winnipeg bringing some extra people, but that front 5 of the Saskatchewan Roughrider offensive line are doing such a good job of creating a pocket, a stable pocket, where the quarterback doesn't have to dance around it. He can plant his feet and throw the football with some strength.
You're telling me the Riders are winning the battle on the line of scrimmage, aren't you?
Right now,
Denny Ferdinand finds a big hole on the right side and gets down near the Bomber 10-yard line. Not just right now, they've been winning it all night.
Austin waves in the short yardage for the next play, but Ferdinand, look at him go straight upfield. He's going outside, and then he gets himself straight to the line of scrimmage and cuts off Conrad's block.
The Saskatchewan offensive line, Mike Anderson at center, Aldag and Illerbrun the guards, Ken Moore and Vic Stevenson the tackles. And they've been prominent tonight. Ferdinand this time is stopped by Stan Mikowas. Before he got to the 10, he'll come up 2 yards short of the first down. And once again, Mikowas playing in a degree of pain with a knee injury. playing well in that very difficult position. 24,300 at Taylor Field. And they are liking what they're seeing. Except those few who drove here from Winnipeg, of course.
Well, they like the call right now to go for it on 3rd down.
3rd and 2. Riders at their 10. Austin hands off. Ferdinand. First down to the 6.
That short yardage offense can be such a valuable weapon, not only obviously when you're going to see it close to the goal line, but in the middle of the field. But a little bit different. See Illebroom pull out. You get used to seeing the same play hit up in between the tackles. This time, same action in the backfield, but Ferdinand hits up behind and then follows Illebroom around the corner.
Saskatchewan up 36-11 over Winnipeg, looking to add to that lead from the 6. Austin into the end zone. Touchdown. Ray McDonald.
It looks like that ball's going into the trophy case. John Gregory has to be pleased with the production of both his quarterbacks tonight.
John Gregory has to be pleased with everything tonight. I'd like to see him find a flaw in this one. Ridgway adds the convert. It's 43-11 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
It's a delay. McDonald's going to come underneath. That ball's thrown in there like a dart in a dartboard. And it's down low, too, where it's not going to be picked off. 3 steps and zip.
Oh, that had to be a precision throw, and it was by Kent Austin. That's the only place he could throw that ball. Rod Hill had good coverage. But the Roughriders can do no wrong tonight. And they now lead 43-11. And the place is going bananas.
Well, that's the feeling right there, number 1 here in Regina, and for good reason.
Ridgway kicking off. James Jefferson at the Bomber 14. And Jefferson is forced out of bounds at the Bomber 38-yard line. Well, on Tuesday night, we will be in Ottawa as the Toronto Argonauts, who have won 2 in a row, meet the 0-3 Ottawa Roughriders, playing their first game under Bob Weber, who has replaced Fred Glick as head coach. 7:30 Eastern time. Argos knocking off BC last night to go to 2-1. Flags down as Roy DeWalt drops back to pass, throws, finds James Murphy up at the 44 of Winnipeg for a gain of 6 yards. But again, Dave Ewell is going to speak to us. Saskatchewan offside indicated by Ewell. James West of the Blue Bombers. You know, for veteran players, Neil, and I don't need to tell you this, who are used to winning, and the veterans on the Bombers have been used to winning because this team has done nothing but win during the past decade. This kind of thing is, well, it's a shock.
Well, you end up taking it very personally. It's something, it's an insult, and I think that's the best way to have it, because your players will respond better under those circumstances.
1st and 5. DeWalt throws low for Jeff Smith, who was open, and it'll be 2nd and 5.
2nd down and 5.
Dejection weighs heavily at the Bomber bench.
Well, that dejection and frustration will carry over into the next week's practice. They'll work that much harder. They know what they have to do.
2nd down and 5. Bombers at their 43. They're down 43-11. DeWalt for Shorten. He has him at the 50, and he's into the 48-47 yard line. of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Paul Shorten playing his second game in the CFL.
From the University of Toronto, and again we're seeing a good look at DeWalt getting a chance to throw the ball. It seems so simple, doesn't it, when he does get an opportunity. The clear out there by Perry Tuttle coming through the screen. Shorten comes underneath.
In this second half, DeWalt has shown some signs of returning to his form. This time he doesn't get the pass away, and they'll rule it an incompletion, as DeWalt had absolutely no chance with Gary Lewis on him almost as soon as he took the snap.
Well, Lewis comes out of his stance like shot out of a gun. I mean, he's onto DeWalt. Lyle Bauer doesn't even get a chance to slide laterally and step in his face, and Lewis is by, and DeWalt's got to has to wonder how he got there so quickly without being offside.
That's dynamite defense. Gary Lewis, 27-year-old in his 4th CFL season, his 2nd with Saskatchewan. DeWalt back to pass, gets away from Lewis, but won't get away from the rest of them. Vince Goldsmith and Curry leading the way.
Going into the game, it was suggested that Mike Riley might have his running back stay in a little bit longer to help protect. And you see Tony Johns right there. But that just wasn't enough, because once he's even out of the way, there's another one and another one and another one. And that's the type of defense Saskatchewan has played.
Well, Lewis just bounced off Tony Johns and kept on coming. Forced DeWalt to move, and he was sacked.
As a running back, you can't sit and wait for a big guy like that to come get you. You've got to come up to the offensive line and stick him just when he gets through.
Bob Cameron hits a good high punt. Richie Hall at the Saskatchewan 12-yard line, and he's down at the 16. 9 minutes, 37 seconds left in the 4th quarter. Saskatchewan ahead, 43-11. This CFN telecast is brought to you by Foster's Lager. 9.5 minutes left in the game at Taylor Field. The Saskatchewan Roughriders have rolled up some impressive statistical numbers on offense. Tom Burgess with 255 of those passing yards in the first half. Kent Austin has directed the Rider offense in the second half, and from the 11 he hands off to Denny Ferdinand, who runs into one of his own players but still manages to get to the 23 and gains 7 yards.
Well, misdirection play that takes a little bit of time to mature, because you're getting most of the momentum one way and then bringing back the other, but it was nicely executed and a good run.
400 to 163. That's a difference of 237 yards in total offense in Saskatchewan's favor. Ferdinand on 2nd down and 3, and he's stopped short of the 25 and at least a yard short of the Saskatchewan first down.
One of the few times we have not seen Saskatchewan put in what is sometimes called the elephants, the short yardage offense. They went with their straight short offensive team and put Fairholm and Elgard on the line as tight ends.
Michael Gray injured on that last Ferdinand run. A somber-looking Mike Riley, the head coach of the Blue Bombers. Mike Gray, the former BC Lion. In his 4th CFL season, his 2nd with the Blue Bombers. He was the Rookie of the Year in the league with BC back in 1985, and All-Canadian that year from the University of Oregon. 8:49 left in the 4th quarter. Saskatchewan enjoying a 43-11 lead over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Over the years, when these teams have played here at Taylor Field, they've produced some of the most exciting games we've seen in the 80s. Very close, very competitive. Winnipeg winning its share of them, but tonight the Riders are answering some questions about just how good they might be this season.
Well, oftentimes you can look at statistics after a game and really wonder who won the football game, and sometimes 400 yards offense can be a losing production, but it certainly is not that tonight. I think the key is a lot of it came in the first quarter. It's tough to come back when you're down that quickly, because your game plan changes so dramatically so quickly.
Well, Mike Riley, the Bomber coach, said we're in trouble if we fall behind early, and that's exactly what happened. Terry Baker, it's a booming punt. Jefferson out to the Winnipeg 38-yard line. 58-yarder for Terry Baker.
the gang.
10,000 of those posters that they put on sale tonight for $5 each, with all the money going to charity. And again, that cross, that white cross, says quarterbacks rest in peace. They've put the Bomber quarterbacks to rest 7 times tonight, or is it 8 now?
And sometimes in pieces.
7. Tom Mickey's back in. And Walter Bender falls after taking the handoff, and will get back to the line of scrimmage. Mickey back in at quarterback for the Blue Bombers.
This turf has been a pleasant surprise for both the visiting teams and the home team, Saskatchewan Roughriders. They haven't really had to change their footwear at all. Just a very solid, but if you run your finger across, you'd almost think like it should be rougher. But Tom Burgess told me before the game that he gets less burns from this surface than any other he plays on.
Second down and 8. Blue Bombers. Mickey wants to throw. Gets it off long. And James Murphy can't. Was it intercepted? Yes, it was picked off. Another bouncing ball. That's Suter with it. And he's back to the 49-yard line. Another turnover by the Bombers, and their rout continues at Taylor Field in Regina.
It's a good look at Steve Goldman, the offensive coordinator, a man who deserves a lot of the credit for the turnaround of the offensive scheme and success the Saskatchewan Roughriders have had.
Goldman told me yesterday, Neil, he thought the strength of the Saskatchewan offense was the line and the running backs. He wasn't happy with the passing game. He said that's such a fine thing. It takes a lot of time to really polish. Well, I tell you, it's looked pretty polished tonight. Tom Mickey over the middle on first down, finds Tuttle at the 50 of Saskatchewan. He's throwing back, but 16-yard gain. Tom Mickey to Perry Tuttle. 5 minutes, 40 seconds left, fourth quarter. Saskatchewan 43 and Winnipeg 11.
Blue Bombers on the Saskatchewan 49.5.
This result will have repercussions around the entire CFL. That's assuming we can expect a Saskatchewan victory, and I think we can. Tom Mickey goes long for James Murphy and overthrows him down at the 10-yard line. Harry Skipper with the coverage.
Mike Riley's in a tough situation, not only on the field, obviously, but with Roy DeWald and Tom Mickey. It seems like the only way Roy DeWald is going to get 100% and that arm is going to get better is rest. So do they now look to Tom Mickey for the next little while to be their #1 quarterback and let him get the repetitions and feel comfortable with the other 11 guys on the field now?
Riley had a pretty good time of it last year, Neil, in his first year as head coach. He had a set team going in. They had a 12-6 record. Everything was pretty smooth. Very much the opposite for John Gregory. Of course, Riley and Gregory worked together in Winnipeg for a number of years, along with Fred Glick. Here's Tuttle on a pass from Mickey. And he's in the end zone for a touchdown. Tuttle's second touchdown of the second half. And that makes it look a little better. It's now 43-17. Saskatchewan over Winnipeg.
Well, you see the look on John Gregory's face. You don't like to give it up no matter how far ahead you are. But the ball's nicely thrown, and I think the first time tonight we've seen that they've been able to get inside in between the two defenders.
49-yard touchdown pass. Tom Mickey to Perry Tuttle. Kennard with a convert, and it's now a 43-18 football game with Saskatchewan leading. Tuttle's second touchdown of the night and his third of the season.
Well, he's the type of receiver that you've got to go to early. You see him get behind Fuller, and Suter's coming over to help Fuller out. That's how it's designed, but the ball was thrown well enough to get in there before the help could get over. And you know, this is a situation very much like in Ottawa, where Perry Tuttle, inside receiver, great quickness off the ball, tough to cover. Gerald Alphen, the same situation. I think both coaches understand that they've got to get them involved in the offense early, put pressure on the defense.
Well, that's the point, Neil. They could have used a play like that in the first quarter when they couldn't get anything going on offense. Likewise, the second fell behind 17-4 after the first, 29-4 at halftime. I guess what you do is you take a play like that, and some of the things DeWalt did in the third quarter, completing a few passes, and you try to carry it over to the next game and say, hey, not everything is lost, guys. We did some things right. Kennard with a short kickoff, and it's caught at the 43-yard line out of bounds. Fuller with the ball, so Saskatchewan will have the ball. It's Marker Ness, backup offensive lineman, at the Rough Rider bench.
Ivan Goodfriend, the athletic therapist of the Riders, holding onto that ice bag. It's a little tough to wrap a tense around someone's head to keep the ice bag on your neck. So.
Kent Austin, who's quarterbacked the Riders in the second half after Tom Burgess handled them rather efficiently in the first, fumbles that snap from center and is able to complete the handoff to Ferdinand, but it will gain the Riders nothing and maybe lose them a yard. 4 minutes and 15 seconds left in the fourth quarter.
So just the ball just almost like a trick play, dropped straight down. Good job of getting it up and into the hands of Ferdinand and making sure he had the ball. Coming into this game, as far as spreading out the passing game, the receivers had caught 20 passes and the running back 16, so a good balance.
2nd and 9. Austin throwing long, intending it for Elgard, but it's over his head down around the Winnipeg 30-yard line.
You can always learn. You've been in the league just a little while, and that's what you call getting jacked up and put on your can. Benny Thompson not allowing Fairholm to get downfield.
Home again on the turf at Taylor Field.
Jeff Fairholm.
Saturday, August the 20th. The game
Well, the things he's done right tonight far outweigh the things that have gone wrong for him. A long touchdown reception in the first quarter. At last count, 5 catches. Over 150 yards, 158 to be exact. Terry Baker punting, and he doesn't hit a very good one. Fielded at the 37 by Shorten, who slips and falls with 3 minutes and 22 seconds left in the fourth quarter.
First man down.
29-yard kick by Terry Baker.
1st and 10. Winnipeg at the
James Curry
39-yard line.
receiving some ice on his toes. In the off-season, he had 2 operations on both toes, the right and the left foot, the big ones, because of turf toe.
The Royal Basketball Championships. 14 teams from around the world. In Saskatchewan, too.
You don't care about having the best seat in the house. You can see the game for nothing, as those people were. Tom Mickey from the 39. Vince Goldsmith sacks him back at the 31. 2:57 left in the game. Foster's Lager and the Canadian Football Network proud to bring you the best of the CFL. After the game, we will talk with our CFN most valuable player, and don't think he'll come from that Winnipeg bench. More likely from this one, the Saskatchewan Roughriders leading the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 43-18, and that chant you can hear is, "We're number 1." Tom Mickey finds James Murphy under pressure. And Murphy, with a rare opportunity to take off and run with the ball, got all the way to the Saskatchewan 34-yard line.
Tom Mickey showing right there he can handle the pressure and get the ball downfield, and if he has to throw it sidearm, he'll do that to get a reception. Nice block downfield by Jeff Smith. Coming up right there on Richie Hall. It's to the left.
That's a heady play by a quarterback, Neil, when he can move away from pressure like that and still maintain his concentration and look downfield. Mickey and the Bombers, 1st and 10 at the Saskatchewan 34. Mickey again chased away, throws deep for Tuttle, and he drops it. Perry Tuttle had his 3rd touchdown of the game right there. Fuck yeah. Perfectly airmailed by Tom Mickey, and they couldn't catch it.
John Gregory looks downfield and trying to figure out why they're getting open all of a sudden. And Mike Riley says, we're finally getting open in the end zone and we're not catching the football.
Well, Perry Tuttle
2nd and 10.
likely can't believe that he didn't catch that ball. But he didn't.
Well, there'll be no one harder on him than himself. That'll probably take place from the end zone all the way back to the huddle.
Second and 10, Bombers at the Saskatchewan 34, 2:11 left. Mickey is intercepted. Magruder flips it back, or tries to Suter. And he's down at the 39 of the Riders. They had it up around the 45, but the fans love it anyway.
Mickey throwing into a very snug area of the field, short side, and there's lots of defensive coverage. And all Magruder is doing is waiting. He's lying in the bushes. Pops up and makes a good interception. But watch some of the hits that are going to go on by the defensive team of Saskatchewan when they turn offense. Pop right there. You're going to see another one coming up by Eddie Lowe just after the pitch.
That is the 6th turnover of the game by the Blue Bombers. Austin on first down wants to put it in the air, and he does, complete at the 54 of Winnipeg to Ray McDonald. Oh, these people have waited so long for a night like this. Not just a one-sided win, but for their team to be headed for a 3-0 record. 13 years last time it happened.
And they are enjoying it.
Yeah, I think we could draw that conclusion. Austin, Benny Thompson looked like he was offside. He's chasing Austin, who has the ball knocked away by Thompson. The Blue Bombers recovered, but I would guess that that's going to be wiped out by Benny Thompson being offside, unless he was pulled. He was way in there early.
Winnipeg 37.
There's a future rider right there.
That little guy, he wasn't too pleased about that initially. He thought maybe he was going to get thrown over the railing. A minute and a half to go.
5 here.
On a fun night at Taylor Field. Wow, fun for one team and one group of fans. Denny Ferdinand on the toss from the 49 of Winnipeg on a 1st and 5 after the offside penalty. Ferdinand stopped for no gain. Denny Ferdinand, 14 carries for 45 yards tonight.
And a lot of them were tough in short yardage situations.
Well, so much was expected of him when he was a rookie back with Montreal 7 years ago. I don't know that he's lived up to those expectations, but he has developed into a very, very good player. Austin passing complete to the 36-yard line to Kearse. He and Jefferson have a wrestling match, but Kearse has the football.
Like, that's a perfect example of a well-thrown football, and the coverage is perfect by Jefferson. What else can he do to get in front of Kearse to knock the ball away? Realizing after the catch was made, the only way is to try to strip it, but Kearse was able to secure it. 55 seconds left. The clock is running. The Saskatchewan Roughriders leading 43-18. Our 1st and 10 at Winnipeg's 35.5. Austin goes deep. No good. Just barely incomplete. Looking for Ray McDonald. That was a good throw on the run. It was an excellent throw on the run and right in the right spot. Just got to grit your teeth and wait for another opportunity, because there will be another chance to get back.
We're number 1. He's getting a little coaching on that, but what the heck. 41 seconds left at Taylor Field in Regina. Ken Austin coming over to the sidelines to have a chat with the coaches as a Blue Bomber player was injured and caused a bit of a delay. Second and 10, Roughriders at the Winnipeg 36. Austin left and tries to dump it into the middle with a big rush. Conrad, I think the intended receiver, but Bombers had good pressure that time. And with 37 seconds left in the fourth quarter, John Gregory will send out Dave Ridgway and the field goal team. Ridgway's kicked 5 tonight.
After 36.
This attempt will come from the 43-yard line. Suter, the holder. No win factor. Ridgway is good again.
Ridgway is so smooth on his approach. Every time he kicks the ball, it doesn't even look like he's putting a lot into it.
Saskatchewan goes in front 46-18 with 32 seconds left. The Riders' next game, Neil, is in Edmonton next week. That will be interesting. Well, the Bombers have 32 seconds left to try and maybe salvage a little something more here. Jeff Smith with the ball. There's a 5-yard gain, maybe 6 up to the 41-yard line.
Jeff Smith's ready to get into a hurry-up offense. Only 27 seconds. He wants another opportunity to score.
Clock is running, and it's now down to 20 seconds.
Maybe the longest plane ride back to Winnipeg.
There's no doubt that it's the longest day of Mike Riley's professional coaching career, as Mickey puts it up long for Murphy, and it's intercepted by Albert Brown, who's in the game. And he's all the way to the Bomber 23-yard line. And that play ends the game, and it's a fitting note on which it should end. The 7th Winnipeg turnover, and the Roughriders put it to the Blues 46-18. Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, with this loss tonight, slipped to 1-2. They are tied for second in the East. The Saskatchewan Roughriders sitting alone atop the Western Conference standings with that 3-0 record, their first 3-0 start since 1975. Neil Lumsden, what do we make of what happened here tonight?
Well, I'm impressed. Up to this point, I've been impressed with the Saskatchewan defense, but I've seen some improvement or areas of improvement for the offense, as Steve Goldman has said. But the execution by the Saskatchewan Roughriders tonight, early especially on their offense, was just outstanding. Their ability as Burgess to read the defenses, execute, and get the ball to the right place was great.
Are the Bombers a bad football team, or a team that just needs time to get its act together?
The Bombers had 9 changes as far as starters going into this year. That's hurt them. They're going to have to make some adjustments and just mature a little bit.
Well, our next game on the Canadian Football Network will be on Tuesday night. We'll be in Ottawa for the Argos and the Ottawa Roughriders at 7:30 Eastern Time. The final score here at Taylor Field tonight, the Saskatchewan Roughriders convincing 46-18 winners over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Bob Irving for Neil Lumsden saying goodnight from Taylor Field.